Though not without its challenges, floating wind technology is going to be a key enabler in unlocking and extending the potential of offshore wind around the globe. But obviously, as with any other new technology, we need to make sure that we're coming up with innovative ideas that are going to be solving the challenges of the technology. And that's why at BlueFloat, we're in constant communication with foundation designers and wind turbine manufacturers, because we need to make sure that we are at the front line of the new technology developments.
BlueFloat Energy is a company that is very agile on decision making and very fast, which I think is the most important ability to create and add value on this race to develop floating offshore wind farms.
Regarding the differences between floating and bottom fixed projects, is the design of the floater and the mooring system, which is exclusive of floating technology. We understand very well all the conditions that can affect the development of a floating project, and we even dedicate a lot of time to try to incorporate innovative technologies to do better those assessments.
The floating wind industry is very different from the bottom fixed one. Floating foundations require much more space in terms of use at fabrication yards, and the logistics for the load-out operations, the assembly of the turbines, and the offshore operations are also very different. That creates, on one hand, a bottleneck, potential bottleneck, because the harbors need very big drafts, and they need also a quite strong soil-bearing capacity to withstand the weight of these massive foundations. On the other hand, the foundations themselves are way heavier and more complex to fabricate than bottom-fixed structures. Therefore, in the coming years, when we'll see the next generations of floating foundations, we will see that the ones making it to the end of the race, the winners, so to speak, will be those foundations that have thought while design phase on this kind of bottlenecks and constraints on the supply chain, and also the optimization of the foundation itself.
Another challenge which is important is that floating wind is introducing new uncertainties in the wind resource assessment. One of those is the wake modeling. Wake effect is the reduction of the speed when the wind goes through the rotor of the turbines. And this is normally modeled assuming that we have fixed structures. So now that we are working with slightly moving structures, we need to investigate very well this effect and try to improve the models that we are using today.
Floating wind requires cables which are specifically designed to the dynamic metocean conditions that we will find. So these dynamic cables, which are related to the inter-array system but also to sections of the export cable, need to withstand a lifetime of constant movement and fatigue. It's true that currently in the market we can easily find dynamic cables up to 66 kV. But further than that, still the manufacturers are in the process of designing and qualifying these new assets. However, the more we increase the size of the wind farms, the more we will need higher voltage cables. But this is currently not in the portfolio of most of the manufacturers. BlueFloat Energy has a very deep expertise within the offshore wind sector, and that refers as well to the liaison of cable manufacturers and electrical equipment manufacturers. For instance, in WindFloat Atlantic and Kincardine project, our team members worked close to the cable manufacturers and the installers of those assets, so we have a very good understanding of the associated challenges. But our previous experience in other projects also allowed us to collaborate and work close to independent certifying companies and warranty surveyors to warranty bankability and warranties.
The floating wind industry is still discovering the nuances of the interaction between the wind turbine and the floater. Obviously, for us developers, that means that we need to make sure that we align technical requirements and challenges very early on in the stages of the project between the foundation designers and the wind turbine manufacturers. And that's going to be fundamental to ensure the success in the long term of the projects.